Welcome back to the Deep Discog Dive. Here's my impression of an Arctic monkey.
What do you mean you've never seen Blade Runner?
Today, we're talking about Arctic monkeys. Let's dive in.
Hey, that man just yawned.
2002, England, South Yorkshire, Sheffield. Some street, I assume. Two neighbors, Alex Turner and Matt Helders, decided to start a band, much in the same vein of popular alt-rock acts of the time, like The Strokes. They brought in two friends from secondary school, Jamie Cook and Andy Nicholson. The band started playing instrumental songs only, but in time, Alex eventually took the mantle of guy who will one day sing about kissing under the moon's side boob. Their band name came courtesy of Jamie Cook, though he never told the band his exact reasoning. The closest inkling we've got is that it's a play on derogatory slang directed at Northern Brits. Also, for the record, the band name is Arctic Monkeys, not the Arctic Monkeys. It's like bowling for soup. They themselves are not Arctic Monkeys, they merely represent Arctic Monkeys. Arctic Monkeys' first ever gig was at the Grapes pub in Sheffield. Alex's main objective that night was that of any young lead singer, to woo a girl he fancied. After getting their feet wet at other local venues, Arctic Monkeys set up shop at a local Sheffield studio to record some demos. These demos would be given away for free on CD at the band's shows. Pretty run-of-the-mill upbringing for a band, right? Well, remember Esteban, this was the mid-2000s. The Office, Bennifer, Daddy's Junkie Music. The world was a rapidly changing place, and the band would see their lives change thanks to MySpace. Those demos were taken by fans and uploaded to MySpace, and from there, the songs found a massive audience. Some other guy made this point a while back, but Arctic Monkeys were arguably the first band to build a community through social media, which is funny because they did not intend to use social media at all. This collection of demos would be unofficially known as Beneath the Boardwalk, named after a venue where the band would play. Thanks to MySpace and their live performances, Arctic Monkeys were getting themselves a ton of buzz from news outlets and labels. In May 2005, the band released their first EP, 5 Minutes with Arctic Monkeys. And we're already being lied to. Only 2 songs on this, and they would both go on to be featured on their debut album. Speaking of which, the next month they signed a record deal with Domino and started recording their first album. After 2 advanced singles, Arctic Monkeys made their proper debut in January 2006 with Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. Picture this, it's a late night in some UK city, and on a whim, you stumble upon the greatest basement venue in the whole country. The crowd is jumping, the energy is palpable, and the band is giving it their all. With their debut, Arctic Monkeys lay down a blueprint for what I like to call classy filth. The performances are loose and frenetic, but the underlying chord progressions and melodies are intricate, full of dynamic motion and syncopated rhythms. There's a classical sensibility to songwriting hidden under the youthful production. They're kind of like Billie Eilish in that sense. This tightrope act between the clean and the dirty will play out over the rest of the band's discography, in more ways than you'd think. And in line with the sound, the lyrics cover the gamut of UK nightlife, from the obvious thread of romance to the uber-specific pain of trying to find a taxi. It's funny too because Alex assumed the role of frontman with trepidation, but eventually took it as he had, quote, a way with words. And I have a way with breathing. Where are my MySpace fans? I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor was the lead single, and a remarkable first impression for the band. You've got that classic opening where the guitar goes then it launches into a blistering ride about seeing a random girl and wondering what she'd look like dancing. The entire song is imaginary. It's like if James Blunt wrote You're Beautiful for Skins. Also, shout out to one of that song's B-sides, Chun-Li Flying Bird Kick, an instrumental track like how they started out. Nice. Opener The View from the Afternoon kicks off with this wonderfully cheeky line. I'm liking this more honest relationship, Alex. Let's keep it up. Fake Tales of San Francisco was the first ever song recorded by the band, and it rags on other bands that speak of being inspired by the US, but have never actually been. Dancing Shoes and When the Sun Goes Down will guarantee your body flies through at least 3 of the walls in your home. I am not paying your medical bills this time. But before you go thinking this record starts at 100 and never stops, it does leave space for contrast. Even at this young age, the band clearly have a knack for listening to each other, knowing when and when not to play. On the slower side, Riot Van and Marty Bum bring the energy down enough to feel like warm respites, and the 2 songs that close things out, From the Ritz to the Rubble and A Certain Romance, weave in both the quick and the quiet, with multiple distinct sections to each. Whatever People Say I Am is stellar, a sublime achievement in rock music and world building. Whatever people say I am, That's What I'm Not was a beloved success. Which I guess means that it was actually a terrible failure? It quickly became the fastest selling debut album in British history. That said, there were some out there who were a bit burned out on this kind of band. You know, scruffy alt-rock youngsters hyped up to the nth degree by the UK music press. I think it's largely due to timing. One of those super hyped bands had just put out a record that was... So faith in the UK's praise towards alt-rock bands was definitely shaky. Many people were asking, who the f*** are Arctic Monkeys? A question that the band were also asking, apparently. The Who the F*** Are Arctic Monkeys EP released just a few months later in April 2006, and it quickly got slammed as a cash grab. On one hand, the fact that it starts with The View from the Afternoon Again didn't help matters. On the other, any project with the song No Buses cannot be bad. This is one of my favorite early Monkees tracks. Check it out if you haven't yet. The EP would also be the final appearance by bassist Andy Nicholson. He decided to leave the band, citing fatigue over balancing the band's touring and his own mental health. As a replacement, the band brought in Nick O'Malley. Their first Andy-less release was the single Leave Before the Lights Come On, a song that Alex wrote very early on, released as the last sort of reminder of what his life used to be. That song is fine. One of its B-sides, a cover of Barbara Lewis's Baby I'm Yours, is great. Arctic Monkeys started recording for a new album in fall 2006. They were on that rise and grind mentality, eager to whip up and release new music on a whim, instead of the usual album tour repeat cycle of bigger acts. The band returned with Favorite Worst Nightmare in April 2007. Of course, it's not a major departure. Tracks like Old Yellow Bricks and Balaclava could have fit just fine on their debut. It's more in the subtle differences that make Nightmare a good listen. Many reviews at the time said that this record was faster and louder than their debut, and to that I say, kinda. I don't think it's that much louder, but I do think the band are way more in sync with each other. The scruffy discrepancies in their playing are mostly gone, and in their place are tight, dense performances. Fluorescent Adolescent has enough great hooks to pack 4 songs, and it even has the audacity to put all of those hooks on top of each other in the outro. Teddy Picker is straight up Crash Bandicoot music. I love it. The lyrics this time aren't as much about nightlife tomfoolery, but the poetic canvas opens up to encompass romantic entanglements, the pressures of success, and the feeling of missing out on another life. That last one is summed up on both the halfway point, Only Ones Who Know, and the lovely closer, 505, an emotionally mature stunner about doing whatever you can to go back to someone or something you hold dear. The organ part plays the same chords as the climax of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Is that meant to be morbid? Favorite Worst Nightmare does exactly what a sophomore album should do. Take the first album, beef up what worked about it, and serve it up piping hot. That'll be $10, please. While not as much of a success as the first record, Favorite Worst Nightmare still raked in plenty of sales, acclaim, and awards. The boys toured for most of 2007, including slots at Glastonbury and other big festivals. The last show of the tour gave us their first ever live album, At the Apollo, though for some reason it's not available on streaming services. First they came for Japanese bonus track Deframe 2R, and I said nothing because that's a funny name. After that, the band went on a quick hiatus, but Alex had more musical plans up his sleeves. In April 2008, we got the Age of the Understatement, the first album by the Last Shadow Puppets. This was a supergroup band with Alex, Miles Kane from The Rascals, Zach Dawes from Mini Mansions, and James Ford from Simian Mobile Disco. Imagine if Arctic Monkeys was less basement venue dance rock and more orchestral western homage, and you've got an idea of what this sounds like. New material from Arctic Monkeys started taking shape in summer 2008, and they spent much of 2009 recording in the Californian desert. The first tease of these new songs was Crying Lightning, one of my favorite Arctic Monkeys songs to date. It's heavy, spacious, ominous. It's Queens of the Stone Age. It's basically Queens of the Stone Age. That sonic similarity isn't random. Those sessions in the desert were produced by Stone Age frontman Josh Homme, with extra production by James Ford. According to interviews, Josh was fairly hands-off during these sessions. Yeah, and I'm an actual Arctic monkey. Monkeys of the Arctic Age released Humbug in August 2009. Perhaps it's due to their spacious surroundings when recording this one, but the overall pace of Humbug is slower and more methodical. The band took inspiration from Jimi Hendrix and especially Nick Cave. They even did a great cover of Red Right Hand. Everything in these mixes is given space to sit and simmer. Is that a major change from the kinetic pace of the last 2 albums? Absolutely. Is it a bad change? Nah, I don't think so. Had these guys tried to do this move after their debut, then I think it would have been a bad time. But because they spent their last album gelling together as a performing unit, Humbug retains that same tightness and utilizes it more confidently. Plus, it's not like everything changed. The lyrics are still the usual dealings on love and romance, but thanks to the more conservative production, Alex's words have a better chance to own the spotlight. The sublime hookiness of the spelled out title on Dangerous Animals, the storytelling on Cornerstone as Alex keeps running into girls that look like his ex, the smooth saunter of Dance Little Liar, the metallic sludge of Pretty Visitors, the dessert-centered metaphors on Crying Lightning. I don't really get that, but I still enjoy it. Of course, if you're only on this ride for the frenetic bops, then this might be a disappointment. And there are moments where the album can sag in its pacing, but I think those are worthy trade-offs, not only for Humbug as a record, but for Arctic Monkeys' longevity. Humbug was received fairly well, all things considered, but for some fans, it was a major Josh Homme-sized pill to swallow. The band responded to negative feedback with, what are you gonna do? Well, what they did was get back in the studio. The band spent chunks of 2010 and 2011 working on a new album, with James Ford taking on primary producing duties. In March 2011, Alex dropped his first, and so far only release as a solo artist, the Submarine EP. These were songs Alex wrote for the coming-of-age film of the same name. It's a nice little EP, and from reviews I've seen, it was a nice little movie. Check out Pile Driver Waltz. Shortly after, in June 2011, Arctic Monkeys released Suck It and See. At first, I thought that title was the British version of F around and find out, but it's actually an expression meaning to try something out to see if you enjoy it. Us Americans didn't like that though. In many US stores, the cover was changed to be this generic sticker. Well, how am I gonna know which Arctic Monkeys album this is now? It's not like listening to it will help. Suck It and See opts to bring in pieces of each of the past 3 albums while presenting itself as more approachable and, I guess, pop. If you didn't like the heaviness of Humbug, then you might be a fan of Suck It and See's supposed sweetness. The title track, for instance, is lovely, a genuine, sincere love song from Arctic Monkeys. Alex is out here bearing his heart, singing songs like the title track and She's Thunderstorms. They work well, especially when paired with some of the nostalgic Americana imagery in the music videos. I wonder if we'll see more of that in the future. Pile Driver Waltz gets a full band treatment. It's fine, though I personally like the Submarine version a bit more. Don't sit down cause I moved your chair. I enjoy the song. It could have easily fit on Humbug, but I swear, Alex is just naming random things. Do the Macarena in the Devil's Lair? No! The Hellcat Spangled Sha-La-La-La is already an amazing song, because it's called the Hellcat Spangled Sha-La-La-La, but it helps that it's packed with glistening guitars and catchy refrains. Play it loud at your local beach. Or Ace Hardware. Fun fact, by the way, Sha-La-La-La's B-side is credited to the Death Ramps, the duo of Alex and Miles Kane, and that name comes from one of Teddy Picker's B-sides. The AMEU grows more powerful every day. Outside of those tracks, though, I struggle to have strong feelings towards songs like Brick by Brick and Reckless Serenade. They feel like they're on autopilot. The record can lack a strong identity outside of being the 4th Arctic Monkeys album, but maybe that's not a bad thing. It's a record that feels musically tight but tonally relaxed, and without that more laid-back approach, you wouldn't get some of its best songs. So yes, Alex, I did suck it, and I did see. Suck It and See got okay reviews and sold well enough. The tour for the album was pretty tame too. Some dates from June to July, then October to November, and that was it. 2012 saw 2 new singles, which I'll touch on later, Are You Mine and Electricity. They performed at the 2012 Olympics doing I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor and The Beatles Come Together. I remember watching this and feeling caught off guard by Alex's attire. What's this retro city slicker getup he's got going on? Spring 2013 saw the start of the worldwide AM tour, and in September 2013, Arctic Monkeys released AM. Now that's the kind of layered entendre we love to see. It's AM like the band's initials, but also AM like AM radio, and the cover is a radio wave. Also, it's an homage to the Velvet Underground's VU. Speaking of which, the sonic palette this time includes the Velvet Underground and Black Sabbath, plus Outkast and Aaliyah. In fact, a lot of people say AM brings in clear influence from R&B and hip-hop. Alex once said this album sounds, quote, like a Dr. Dre beat, but we've given it an Ike Turner bowl cut and sent it galloping across the desert on a Stratocaster. Honestly, I don't hear it that much. Though if those people think of that influence more in how the band presents themselves, then I can see it. The same way their debut conjured images of sweaty UK clubs, AM brings to mind that uniquely nebulous paradigm of cool. Do I Wanna Know is the most well-known song here, and it's a perfect showcase of that coolness, with that chorus where Alex is singing syncs up with the guitar hook. I also love the way Alex's lyrics pour over the beat like this.
I'm constantly on the coast. I've tried to kiss you.
One for the Road and Arabella feature sparse vocals, drums, and bass on their verses, and just explode with electric guitars on their choruses. There's something very cheeky about making a song called #1 Party Anthem and having it be the slowest song on your whole album. Not a bad thing though. It's a great tune about endlessly waiting for a party to actually take off. Mad Sounds is a personal favorite, and the closest to Velvet Underground the boys get on this album. Seriously, this is basically their Pale Blue Eyes. The minute that they hit you with the... it's done. Game over. Same with the Shoo-Ops on Fireside. Like, it's over. Why are we not drowning our sorrows at a Red Robin right now? Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High is actually a sick, twisted prank to get you to listen to that sublime hook on the outro. One of the best sections of any Arctic Monkeys track. Knee Socks. Oh, hi, Josh Homme. And I Wanna Be Yours took me off guard with how tame it is as a closer, and with Alex saying he wants to be a vacuum cleaner, but by this point, the band have got you wrapped around their finger, and this is them just reveling in it. Even the B-sides from this era are good on their own, like Electricity, You're So Dark, and Stop the World, I Wanna Get Off With You. I will say though, Are You Mine? I'm not a huge fan. Sonically, I have no hangups. It's just Alex does this thing where he sounds like he's saying words to fill time. You see, on this album, Alex likes to write lyrics like he's weaving a web. When he's on his game, his words come out like a gorgeous work of art begging to be dissected down to the syllable. When he's not, his words sound like absolute gibberish. AM is a damn good record, but what's truly commendable is how it feels like more than just a record. For the first time since their debut, Arctic Monkeys felt like a big deal. AM brought Arctic Monkeys roaring back into pop culture in a way not seen since 2006. Think about that for a second. An alt-rock band from the early to mid-2000s experiencing the same, if not more success in the 2010s. The Strokes didn't do that, Interpol didn't do that, Yeah Yeah Yeahs didn't do that, LCD Soundsystem had recently quit with the largest quotation marks humanly possible. The National is the only exception I can think of, and even then I feel like it's a stretch to call them a part of that early 2000s rock movement. In that sense, Arctic Monkeys were a rare breed. They continued touring the world up until November 2014. That's 18 months of nearly continuous touring, followed by a well-deserved break. April 2016 saw the Last Shadow Puppets reunite with everything you've come to expect, with a bonus EP, The Dream Synopsis. An improvement in basically every way over their debut. I love lead single Bad Habits. Matt Helders also played drums on Iggy Pop's 2016 record, Post Pop Depression. But what about a new AM record? Following AM, Alex was stuck in a bit of writer's block, but over the course of the next few years, his block would be overcome thanks to producing Alexandra Saviour's debut album, being inspired by films like 8½, and 2001: A Space Odyssey, beginning to write songs on piano, and Pet Sounds. A new record was announced in April 2018 and scheduled for release the following month. No advanced singles this time, though. In May 2018, Arctic Monkeys opened up Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. Okay, so this is a wee bit of a concept record about a hotel opened and operated on the moon. In fact, it's named after the site where the first moon landing happened. And that setup is not half-hearted. These guys are committed to the bit 100%, and I genuinely respect that. The overall visual aesthetic, from the cover to the music videos to how the band present themselves, is reminiscent of 60s and 70s chic. Plus, Alex Turner can be really damn funny on this. Alex's lyricism stretches past his cunning linguist ways on AM and into stream of consciousness camp, like the bit in She Looks Like Fun where the key changes and Alex yells out, or on the opener's Star Treatment when the band drops out so he can deliver this line like the SpongeBob chicken.
What do you mean you've never seen Blade Runner?
It's even okay when he asks a girl to kiss him under the moon's side boob, a thing that no human should ever say. It's often surreal, goofy fun. Assuming he was going for a campy tone. If he was dead serious with these words, But here's the thing. Have you noticed that I have yet to talk about the music? You know, the music on the album. In another logical step from AM's 70s rhythm and blues, Tranquility Base goes for the space jazz lounge glam rock approach. I think AM is their best sounding album, but as far as production goes, this one really is a feat of its own. AM sounded like the young guy at the bar with slicked back hair, wearing a bomber jacket, playing pool, trying and failing to order a sloppy steak. Tranquility Base is the older gray fox sipping on his whiskey, content in having lived a full life. He knows the waiter won't bring him a sloppy steak, but he also knows they can't stop you from ordering a steak and a glass of water. When that sound works, it can work damn well. The surreal elevator jazz that is Star Treatment, the mounting dread on the title track's chorus, the 1-2 punch of One Point Perspective and American Sports. 4 out of 5 is about Alex opening a taqueria called the Information Action Ratio, which is named after a cultural concept coined by Neil Postman, because of course it is. The Ultra Cheese is the closest we get to any clear emotional message. A slow ballad as Alex contemplates the way his life turned out, with equal parts bemusement and regret. Easily the saddest ending to any Arctic Monkeys album yet. The downside of that wholehearted commitment, though, is that this is the slowest Arctic Monkeys album so far. There are maybe 2 or 3 moments on here that would be considered a dynamic build. If you click with the figurative and literal change in tempo, then this shouldn't be an issue for you. But that ability to keep your attention and not stay stagnant, which they've demonstrated across the past 5 albums, is gone. It's gone by choice, but it's still gone. If they keep slowing down at this rate, Arctic Monkeys will be giving the 639-year-long John Cage organ piece the exact opposite of a run for its money. Over time, I found myself in a cycle where I grow more fond of the idea of this album with time and distance, I decide to revisit it, and I remember what made me so ambivalent towards it. But I really want to like this album without reservation. See, here's the thing. I've done plenty of these dives over the years, and once you do enough of them, you start to notice patterns. One such pattern is that an artist will make an album that sharply pivots from their established sound, but serves as a springboard for a new phase in their career. I think Tranquility Base could be one of those records, and yet I can't say that for sure, can I? Because its follow-up isn't here yet. For the record, that follow-up is on its way. The band have offered sporadic updates, saying it could be ready for this year, and that it picks up where Tranquility Base left off. I'd like to be kinder to this album because of that, but once again, I'm evaluating the idea of an album in my head, and not the album that's actually tickling my cochlea. This is kinda unfair, but I'm gonna say it. I think Tranquility Base is a decent album, but I think its legacy and how we truly remember it is gonna depend on the next album. The band went on a fairly lengthy tour for most of 2018 and a bit of 2019. In fact, the only release from the band since Tranquility Base was live at the Royal Albert Hall, a recording from this tour released in 2020. A pretty good live set, albeit one that's pretty heavy on AM and Tranquility Base. Arctic Monkeys have a smattering of tour dates starting in August 2022 and going until January 2023. They've also got the new album coming at some point. If I was a betting man, I'd say that Arctic Monkeys are now big enough to surprise drop an album specifically around these tour dates. Or maybe that's when they'll debut new stuff and then release it later on, a la AM. If you want to get into Arctic Monkeys, you're best off starting with Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, and AM. Those 2 records best encapsulate what makes them great. And then check out the rest of the albums at your own leisure. And if you have a favorite Arctic Monkeys song, album, related thing, I would love to know what it is in the comments.